don't be those kind of people that, once you've laid it down, that is what it is. Always be thinking of what can I change? What can we do differently as a business? The third one is, I said, customer-centric focus. I've said this quite a bit. I just say it again. Whenever you are doing anything, oftentimes one of the mistakes we make in business is, there's this thing, there's what is called, I forget the technical term. It's a particular type of bias that results as a result of, for the process of induction. Let me use an analogy. If all you see are black goats, you've never seen any other color, you see all black goats, you may come to the conclusion that all goats are black. Yeah? Just because you have not seen you've not seen any other goat. Yeah? Since you were born, and you've not, all you know is that you've seen is black. You will come to the conclusion that, in fact, you may come to the conclusion that there are only black goats, and black goats are all over the place. But what disrupts that is the day you now see a white goat, and then your whole world is because you have a bias that was formed as a result of observation. Most times for business people, we run our businesses and we assume that we know what the customer wants. This is one of the shocking things for me. We assume. You go to banks. Banks are investing significantly in building their banking apps. When maybe 80% of their customers just want a payment system where the money just hits. They go to the place, they pay, and it just hits immediately. And the likes of MoneyPoint and some of these guys have come in and have filled that space and are growing exponentially. Why, if you go to some banks, they are paranoid about whether their banking app is looking nice or not, because it's an assumption based on a bias. Yeah. So it's important in a VUCA situation. I know we are saying VUCA situation, but remember I said earlier on that assume that VUCA is the norm. Yeah. So in your normal business, always look at things from the perspective of the customer. What does the customer want? Not how have I built my business and what can I throw at the customer? No. The business is destined for death if you do that. Always look at things from the perspective of the customer. And then the fourth strategy I talked about was investing in core skills and also in technology. Technology is doing a lot, Technology is no longer it's the way we do business now. 2 more slides. This slide, what I just wanted to talk about briefly on this slide was talk about. So for me as a person, it's important not only to come up with strategy, but to always tell yourself, how do I measure that I am building my business to be sustainable? And there are 3 things I wanted to measure there. One was financial health. I talked a little bit about that. Always monitor your cash flow, debt levels, look at your profit margins, see how the trend of that is going and all of that, and then begin to see where you make adjustments. The second one is around your operational efficiency, things like identify what those key metrics you need to track are for your business, track them, monitor them, and see how you improve on them. And then the third thing is around your customer retention, which I have been flogging over and over again. And just to mention it again, those are the things. If you have a barometer, and these 3 areas, actually, if you focus on your financial health, you focus on operational efficiency, and you focus on customer retention, if you're able to continue to look at those blocks as a business person, you'll be able to monitor and survive in the middle of a VUCA situation. And then the last thing, I said that it's not only about survival and adaptability, it's also about growth. And in a VUCA situation, it doesn't only bring challenges, but it also brings opportunities. And a lot of people who open their eyes have been able to take advantage of the opportunities. I just want to talk about 3 things to look out for that can help you to leverage opportunities that you find in the middle of a VUCA situation. So one is, always recognizing or identifying and catering for new customer needs as times change. If you are really going to not only survive or adapt, or you're going to grow in a VUCA situation, you must have that recognition that needs emerge when the market changes. Because people adjust. And because there's a change in the market, people will adjust, there will be emerging needs. and your ability to be able to identify those emerging needs or those new markets that are being created as a result of the situation can help you catapult your business towards growth. Second thing is around collaboration and networking. You know, we live in a world now that, and I think this is my belief, that the way God, I think it was St. Thomas Aquinas that, well, at least for me, initially thought about this concept, that, you know, God never created us to be an island. You understand? We are designed for interrelationships as a human being, and that's why people who try to live on an island either, you know, have some mental issues and all of that. So it also can happen in business. Yeah, business can have business mental issues if you fail to collaborate. There are opportunities to band together, especially in this world that we live in, an institution, and see what can you do with collaborators. One of the things I learned in Lagos Business School those days when I did the Africa CEO program was they taught us the concept of co-opetition. You know, concept of co-opetition. How that you can be in competition, but you can also find avenues to collaborate. I think it's an important element that can create opportunities for you to grow in the middle of a crisis. You can share costs. You can, you know, share supply chains. There are many things you can do if you have that mindset of collaboration and networking. And then the third thing is technology, and this is basically using technology as a platform to run your business in a more efficient way and to have an extended reach. So I think that's all I have for today. Thank you very much. I don't know if
Yeah, we're sure that Sam would always deliver. Yes, so we have, I think, 2 questions, one from the east and one from the west. 2 questions. Questions? You? Yes? Okay. Okay, you're digesting this. Now we would appreciate you. In addition to that round of applause, we have Chine, do the needful.
All right, thank you. I think another round of applause for Sam Uwanze as he goes back to his seat. But sorry, before you have a bit of, just want to appreciate you for what you've taken us through in the past 45 minutes. So I'll call on our Governor, Simi Akinsomi, to present the plaque to him. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, before you go back to your seats, just take pictures quickly. So, yes, so please, the LBS faculty, please, if you don't mind, just take pictures with the keynote speaker. I would also call the planning committee, so come take pictures.
You sit. You sit. Are you ready? Are you ready? Sorry.
There are more people coming.
Yeah, nice one. Planning committee, well done. Yes. I think we need some energy. The energy level is kind of low, right? So it's time for tea break. So the tea break, we'll be having it out here. A time to also stretch your legs. So the tea break will be for just 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Well done. Yes. I think we need some energy. The energy level is kind of low, right? So it's time for tea break. So the tea break, we'll be having it out here. A time to also stretch your legs. So the tea break will be for just 10 minutes. 10 minutes tea break. And then remember the competition, the person with the highest number of complimentary cards and also the person with the highest diversity in the complementary cards they have. That's from the different industries. So, tea break.
Is married and blessed with children and grandchildren. Join me in welcoming Mrs. Tai Oshisoya to the panel session.
Yes. Wow. Yes. We're not done yet. Sit back. Yes. We're not done yet. Sit back as we unveil the next speaker.
OJ is a human resources expert with over 30 years of experience. OJ is a human resources expert with over 30 years of experience in consulting, manufacturing, and the oil and gas sectors. He is currently the Director of Corporate Services at Seplat Energy PLC. Before joining Seplat, Steve led senior HR roles at Shell Nigeria and chaired the CIPM River State chapter. He holds degrees in economics and MBA in business administration and a doctorate in social sciences. He is a certified EAP professional, trainer, speaker, and coach. He is a fellow of CIPM, the Chartered Institute of Mediators and Conciliators, and a chartered member of ADR Canada. He is actively involved in HR education and industry leadership. Join me with a round of applause in welcoming Dr. Steve OJ to the panel session.
Dr. Steve OJ again, and finally, from Jacob Brothers. Yeah. And finally, we have
Tony Abiola Salami is a partner in the Energy and Natural Resources Audit Division of KPMG, West Africa. She has over 22 years of experience in leading audits and strategic projects for major energy firms. Throughout her career, Tony has managed audits for both indigenous and multinational companies within the energy and natural resources sector, providing expertise in financial oversight and compliance. She has successfully led joint venture audits within the oil and gas industry and played an active role in a Canadian internal controls over financial reporting projects for an international oil company in Nigeria. Beyond audit leadership, Toyin has contributed to key projects within Nigeria's Ministry of Petroleum Resources, further demonstrating her commitment to advancing the sector. Toyin holds a degree in civil engineering and is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She's an alumnus of our prestigious Lagos Business School's Advanced Management Program, AMP. She has also served as chairman of the Icon Lagos and District Society, showcasing her dedication to professional development and leadership within the accounting community. With a round of applause, join me in welcoming Toyin Abiola Salami to the prior session.
Yes, yes. Yes, go ahead. Handle the mantle of leadership to the rightful owner. Please,
thank you very much, and welcome everybody again. I'm sure you're going to have an exciting session. I have a list of panelists here, well distinguished and accomplished. I just want to encourage the audience, please. I believe this session is really one of the most interesting, but I look at real life situation. And I know Nigerians are people that are really experiencing VUCA, right? I would even say we're experiencing VUCA Pro Max. So I know one degree or the other, and as a business leader, there are things that you need to consider. Interestingly, because where I work, COVID-19 was sort of a game changer for us in my company. And sort of changed the way we thought, the way we did business. We were agile, like I've said. And that year was really our most profitable year that time, but of course it's improved. And what it taught us then was how do you not just respond to the markets, how are you ahead of the curve, ahead of the market. And I believe today our panel stays to the topic. So you're welcome once again. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'll start with you, Elma. Distinguished Mrs. Oshisanya. So of course COVID-19 VUCA of some sorts, and we know that it's affected the energy industry. And we know that you led at that level, being an executive director of financial control and also CFO. Just want to learn practical things that Total did that time to sort of go through that COVID-19. I know when Dr. Owen was speaking, she said some things that Transcorp did, which was quite interesting, which you wouldn't have thought. So just from your word of experience, you can just sort of tell us one or two nuggets that will be beneficial to our audience.
Thank you very much, and I want to say it's an honor to be here to share my experience with you all today. COVID-19. COVID-19 was a major disruptor for everybody. In Total Energies, we have been talking about flexible in 2018, 2019, 2019. We've been talking about flexi work, how it will work. We need to put rules in place, all kinds of things. 1 hour, 7 hours a day for how many days and all that. But when COVID came, all that flew out the window. The next thing was, okay, how are we sure people are working in their environments, in their houses? Are we sure they are comfortable in their environments? For Total Energies, as in all oil and gas companies, it's safety for me, safety for you, office. So all that came to the fore. We had to sit down and strategize. Of course, flexi working, that one HR just said, well, everybody is flexi working from now. We had to move all our expatriates out of the country. That was clear. They all had to go back to Europe so that they could be well managed in their environment. Of course, at the time when COVID first came, we all thought, oh, Africa was going to be the worst hit and all that. But incidentally, I think we came out stronger for it. Our medical team were top notch at the time. We never knew they existed in that capacity until COVID came. And so, as a company, we had to quickly strategize on how to move our teams in and out of the field. Now, in the field, of course, that's the core business. Production facilities needed to run 24 hours, 24/7. and our teams will do 28 days on, 28 days off. So it immediately meant that the team that was about to go off couldn't go off, and the team that was about to come on couldn't come on. So everybody was stranded. And then we had to quickly think outside the box. In every challenge, with every challenge comes an opportunity. We had to quickly identify some hotels that where we could quarantine our staff. So some hotels in Port Harcourt became in full capacity, even though during normal circumstances they would not be at full capacity. But we got them on board, made sure that they were safe, made sure that their workers were safe, and then we were able to quarantine those coming off the field. Well, those coming off the field were okay because they didn't have COVID, but it was those coming onto the field that we needed to be sure, were safe. So that was one thing that we did. In terms of our staffing, a lot of people initially felt work from home is being on holiday, So we had to quickly turn that around and say, well, you needed to be logged on between this time and this time. We had 6 hours with which that we had to be logged onto the system. And that was the only way we could have meetings, because then people were physically logged onto the system in their homes. Another thing that we did was the management had to sit down and strategize how we would move forward, not just at the Nigerian level, but at head office level in Paris. And because Paris was kind of was hit because everyone was in the houses and people had COVID. In Nigeria, not so many of us had COVID, but those who did have were adequately taken care of in our hospital facility, which was our cordoned off, and people were trained to handle COVID patients. But another thing we did was that we collaborated with the Lagos State government, because they had the initial facilities. They knew what needed to be done in terms of quarantining, giving the people the right amount of oxygen. So there was a whole collaboration. You could call it a CSR, but at that time it is what was needed. With the Lagos State Hospital, there was a hospital at Yaba where we were able to provide oxygen. So we were able also to use part of our gas refining facilities to provide oxygen to those hospitals. In terms of the operations in the office, of course, some of us were able to make it to the office. We had to shut down the office, but some of us were able to go into the office. And there we were now the custodians of the facilities on ground, making sure that the IS systems were still up and running, make sure that, and then of course it was a fantastic opportunity to reduce our costs, because then we didn't have to power all the floors.
Just to chime in, so we'll come back to cost, so I can just get feedback from other people as well. But please put your hands together for her. She's done, spoken so well. I think one thing that she said was a lot about adaptability and flexibility. And because that was a bit consistent when Dr. Owen spoke and also Sam spoke as well. So, Dr. Steve, so my question is to you. I know in VUCA world, in chaos, we usually need strong leadership. And my question is, how can an organization build a culture of resilience and adaptability? But that was something that was consistent, quite agile and adaptable, not things that they did.
Can't see the man.
Total.
That man. The more sharing. I think you're going to
Good afternoon, everybody.
in Peru. I think you're going to Ibẹ̀ wà blocked. Ibẹ̀ wà mask.
I needed to just look at this from the eye of HR.
Moderator
So, to build resilience and adaptability is around the
shouldn't show every
fact
time.
that
It's once in a while.
you need to think
Because
about
my
how
little bit
to
control.
make people to be scared of the world of VUCA. And the situation whereby people tend to think that they are out of control. And so, part of the education for you, for employees, is to always to remind to think about those things, think about the fact that
This is the highest.
there are so many things in the environment that are outside. You are not in control of inflation in Nigeria. You are not in control of the cost of food. You are not in control of so many things, but you are in control of your work. You are in control of the fact that we have collectively designed our vision. For example, I work for Seplat, where you say your vision is to transform lives through energy. That is almost like an infinite game, where you can never think about a time where you transform the lives of Nigerians fully. But you really want to die trying. So if you, as a leader, you are that dealer in hope, that our job in Nigeria is to transform lives. So in the way you really think about having a growth mindset, to think about the fact that every time you should be learning about your environment, you're learning about your work, you should be, and all that. So the comfort of knowing that you understand your work and you're in control of your work helps you to build resilience, to know that you are the best in this. To think about the fact that your processes, for example, Madam talked about how we survived COVID. For a number of us, during COVID, I was still in Shell. And working virtually was not new. So your processes have to be such that you need to be ahead of the game.
Spread them.
So because in such a way that when new things happen, it doesn't surprise you. Your processes should be built around the fact that nothing should surprise you. And we do that through all the scenario planning of things that happen around us. Because nothing is really new. So you think about all the things that have happened in the past. How did people survive? How did they cope? How did they conquer? And you usually in HSC, safety, and you want to go offshore, for example, you need people to have a comfort that if a helicopter were to dip, they will survive. So how do you do that? You always train them for situations of when helicopters dip, they will be fine. So when they are flying, they are not afraid of water, they are not afraid of everything. So you build people to last in terms of the training, in terms of the education, and so on and so forth. So, and what about their mental health? Mental health and that education for them to know that this company will always take care of us. So you have structures, our EAP professionals coming from time to time to be able to just help them to know that psychological safety is part of the work. To help you feel that when you are working for us, you have freedom to speak your mind without fear of negative consequences, including declaring when you are suffering, when you are struggling. And to remind you that that vulnerability is actually strength that we share in a forum like this, to say, hey, I'm proud to say that this guy was able to declare his or her vulnerability, and let's celebrate it. So you don't see vulnerability as weakness, you see it as strength. That way, when you're challenged by things around your environment, you feel that you are conquering. Okay. So more importantly is that realization that those of us are leaders is that and come out here to also say I'm also strong. And when you need to build adaptability and resilience in the organization, I start with myself. And people in our talent management, when we're speaking, it's not so much around the succession plan, it's around the continuity plan. What do we do if this person is not there? What is the strength of our bench strength? And in such a way that you build a system that is not built around the individual, it's a system that is built to last, to say that at any time, at every time, it doesn't matter, but we'll always be there to transform life through energy. It doesn't matter the guy. It's about the structure and the system around us every day. So that helps to build resilience, not just the individuals, but in the structure of the organization in itself.
Also, please put your hands for Dr. Steve Oje. I love what he said. He said also vulnerability as a weakness, that vulnerability is a strength. I think those are words that resonates very much with me. And interestingly, people here are all working in IOCs, even though Seplas is indigenous now, but because you said you worked in Shell. And I think one thing that stands out is that culture, that the multinational, and just a follow-up question on what I asked Dr. Steve. So to you, Ma. So how can organizations have VUCA readiness in terms of their culture? A lot of times you have different sort of culture, and I once heard people saying that culture is strategy. So sometimes you might have good strategy, but because the mind of the people are not reformed, sometimes they're not able to achieve those sort of strategy. So organizations, how do you achieve VUCA readiness?
Thank you very much. Good morning or afternoon now. To your question, if you notice a lot of organizations don't start with your recruitment. You don't start thinking about building resilience into your people at the point where there are consistent changes or constant changes. It has to start from the point where you actually bring in your people, when you recruit your people. And what most organizations try to do, especially organizations like mine, is to try and build some resilient scenario some scenario case studies into the recruitment program itself, just to see how people handle different situations at any point in time, and then ensure that you hire A players, that's what we call. And once you've done that, what it does for organizations is to ensure that when situations like this happen, we work in teams. You collaborate, you meet, you ensure that you share ideas across board. And when you see an A player, there are some key things that come to bear. One is the fact that they can think fast on their feet and come up with solutions really quickly. The other thing is when they're not scared to make mistakes. And so when they find themselves in a situation where it's not quite working the way that they expect it to work, they turn around and make a change. And that's what the earlier speakers were talking about adaptability, flexibility, agility. It doesn't come in a day. It's something that you have to recognize and carefully recruit and ensure that they're in the room when you're having those conversations. And I'll give you a simple scenario during COVID. When COVID started, for us, we're a service organization, and we go to clients to do our work most of the times, not online. And so one of the things that we had to do was to do a lot of work online, not having to go to see the clients, and that required us to do meetings like every other day. So you would have teams having meetings every other day. And it became really burdensome on the teams. They weren't very productive. And I can tell you that 2 weeks into it, we said, okay, no, hang on, let's take another look. How do we make sure that these meetings do not get in the way of productivity, but at the same time we're able to ensure that everybody is on board? So my point is that the key thing around VUCA is, one, A players, being able to think on your feet, recruit the right people, and when you don't be scared to make mistakes, don't be an organization that punishes people for making mistakes. However, when you see that you're not going in the right direction, you should be an organization that is able to make the quick change, come up with something different, and move forward. And it can't be done by one person. It's collaboration across the path that makes it work.
Awesome. Yeah, please don't be shy to clap. Good stuff. I think similar to what said, don't be afraid to. He said that vulnerability is not a weakness, that is a strength. And you said that don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think something that's critical about culture is the people. And if the people are not adopting the structure or the culture, you're not able to achieve the strategy for the company. And I just want to go back to and of course, technology is something that's come to stay. AI is a big word, it's not just a buzzword, it's our reality. Canva recently had a video, had a presentation, and I was asking my guys, so can you hear me? Okay, great. I said YouTube video I could get for this particular thing. And interestingly, one of my colleagues just went to AI and just developed that video about my company, the logo, everything, and I was surprised. So AI is a big thing, and there was a report by McKinsey that 50% of current work can be automated based on current technologies. Even though that might be scary, but I also believe that AI is not sort of taking people's job, it's just creating new sort of jobs. So my question is, what sort of mindset and skill set we need for the future of work?
Okay, thanks. So let me just tell you a little story. Back then, when I was working, when I was still in Shell, I was based in Port Harcourt, and my wife had an event somewhere in Hawaii or so, because my family then were based in Canada. And every time they would always say, "I don't know your husband. I want to meet your husband." You know, this pressure. And I decided to go. I closed from work at 4 o'clock in Port Harcourt. I needed to take the flight United from Lagos. I bought 2 flight tickets, Aero and another one. So either way, one should walk. Maybe that's building resilience. You know. So flew from Port Harcourt to Lagos. Thankfully, I made it. Joined United. I don't enjoy flying. If it was possible to drive from here to Canada, I would rather for 5 days perhaps. So flew from here to Houston, from Houston to go to Honolulu, another 5 or 8 hours, and it's through the Pacific, throughout the Pacific, and it's all water. And when we were getting closer, the pilots decided to be crazy, and they said, "Hey, for those of you who really know about Pearl Harbor, if you're on the left, let me take a dive, and those of you on the left will see Pearl Harbor." He said, "Those of you on the right, don't feel you have missed anything, let me do it again." So when we got down, I was tired. So they came to pick me. I thought I was actually sick. I was really sick. So then in Shell we had this SOS International you can use. Fall sick, international, I saw one SOS center, and I got there. The lady said, "Sit down." So while I was inside, they asked me to respond to certain questions on computer, which was essentially trying to understand where I had been in the past 24 hours. So when I was done, the lady came in, just pressed enter on the computer, and the computer said, "You are tired." So she said, "If you are tired, it means you need to sleep." So she now said, "You still want to see the doctor? But if you see the doctor, it's $500. So I have to calculate. I think I need to sleep. So the essence of this story is around medicine. Spent not less than 7 years to become a medical doctor. But in that room, a computer was able to tell me that I needed to just rest. And so, and it also reminds me about a quote somebody said. He said, let AI fix my laundry and my dishes. And I will focus on writing and storytelling. So when you think about AI, it's not a replacement of jobs. It's just helping you to do those things that it can program. What it helps you to elevate your game, to do that thing which has a lot of meaning to you and the people around you. There is a county in Canada is like a state, a local government. And they did their reorganization about their processes. They fired so many accountants and recruited so many IT people. But in terms of number of employees, they stay the same. In terms of efficiency, they get efficiency. But the number of employees, head count will stay the same. So for people who are afraid of AI, is to actually see that AI to help me to do the everyday things that can help me to elevate my game, to add a lot more value. AI inputs is done by us. It's by humans. What you say to AI is what it does. But you say so many things to that AI and you raise up your level to do a lot more things that will contribute to the efficiency of your organization. And if only employees can recognize that they will know that their job is to always think about how to make their jobs richer, how to grow themselves. Because the more you know, the more educated you are, the more you are able to tell the AI, fix the simple things for me, so that you'll be in a position to give AI that next assignment. So the people who work with me is to always not be afraid of AI, to harness the power of AI, to help you do the transactional, so that you will be in a better position to understand that those of us who work in organizations, we are all social animals. We are social beings, built on relationship, built on organizational efficiency. AI will not do that. For HR people, that's the job they are paid to do, to make the organization a place where people have the right environment to make their contributions and make the place actually nice for the other people who work there. AI won't do that. We are people who make the environment right. And if people can invest the energy and time to think about improving on their job, being nice social human beings, the organizational employee engagement level rises, we're all fulfilled doing what we do, while AI helps us to fix the things that are everyday transactional events. That is the skill you need to survive.
Great stuff, great stuff. So AI is a tool. AI is our servant, more or less.
Yes.
Yeah, so we need to have that mindset that AI is not replacing, but something that we can leverage on to make our work more efficient, to make our work more productive. Good stuff, Dr. Steve. Okay, so Mrs. Tai, I like that name. I'm still speaking on innovation. I know you've been a leader in the energy sector, and this is something that is also very peculiar to Nigeria. We sort of have an energy challenge, and I just want to ask, so what strategies and innovations do you believe are essential for advancing inclusive energy access while driving a sustainable energy transition in a rapidly changing and unpredictable global environment? There's a lot of things I've said, but what strategies and innovation can we implement?
Okay. So I heard inclusive.
Yep.
I heard sustainable energy and for an unpredictable environment. Well, first and foremost, I would say the rise in cost of petrol and diesel has already changed their attitude towards that transition to move to something more sustainable, which is either gas or solar. A quick example, last year my husband saw the price of diesel rising and he said, the way this thing is going, no, the way the dollar is going is going to have an impact on the diesel price and on the petrol price. This generator, it's not giving me value because my workers just put it on and then they charge their phones, they gist without getting the work done. I'm selling the generator. We will do solar. So he sold the generator. With the proceeds, he installed the solar, and now he goes to sleep because whether prices of diesel is whatever, energy is there. The workers come to work, they can still charge their phones, they are more productive because now they can do other things. They don't have to think of going to buy the diesel or and all that. So there is that self peace, I would say, in him to say, I did it at the best time. It's better late than never, but now is a good time to start. So that's sustainability. Total Energies, we transitioned from being Total, as everybody knew us, to Total Energies, because we realized very early that we need to move to something affordable, cleaner, and sustainable. The oil wells will dry up one day. The gas which we have been flaring in the past, yes, we are trying to harness it, but there is still much more that can be done with that gas instead of just exporting it. And so we felt, let's look at the whole spectrum of renewable energies. It's not just solar, there's also wind, there's also hydro, there's also biomass. And let's see how we can integrate all these projects, and make them sustainable. Incidentally, there's a project in Iraq, whereby they have a project which integrates all the sources of energy. So they have the oil and gas, but they're going to harness the gas to power, to provide electricity. They're going to use the hydro also to generate electricity for the state. And they're also going to build a 1 gigawatt of power, solar farm. So all these things can be done to better bring energy closer to the people and make it more affordable. When you have an abundant supply of different sources of energy, then it becomes cheaper. And I'm hoping and praying that, in Nigeria, with the CNG, we do have LNG, liquefied natural gas, but a lot of it is being exported, and that is what is, sustaining our foreign reserves in a way. But we need to bring it home. We have gas, we should be able to use it domestically. And with the talk now around CNG, well, with the price of diesel and petrol being so high, people are turning to gas. Now taxi drivers have gas cylinders in their car, and you can take them to Ibadan and back, for a fraction of the price. So it's a necessity that brings about change, and the sooner we embrace it, the better for us. It will help us in looking for more sustainable ways. I'll give you another example. Our cars, for instance, we buy petrol every week. When I retired, my husband and I had to do a strategy around the cars. We will fuel one car, and anytime we need to go to the mainland, we will do everything we want to do on the mainland that day. And we will come back, and then we will do a little Victoria Island, route. But it has worked for us. Now we fuel our car once in 2 weeks. Because, and that is something very simple, that we can all apply. I feel for those who have to do school runs, because that's non-negotiable, you know. But there are other ways we can look at how we consume energy, even in our homes, you know, by not putting on all the lights at the same time. Because it's just my husband and I, when we're in one room, all the other lights in the house are off. My husband doesn't like a lot of light anyway, but me, I say there has to be light, so I put the light on. But then when I'm leaving the kitchen, I put the light off, because at the end of the day, it's just burning, you know. Don't forget, don't talk about air conditioning, because that one is one room by, you know, one room at a time. So that's it. So it is the conditions on the ground that have to make us step back and think, how can we make the most of what we have, you know, and get value out of it.
Great stuff. Please put yours there for Mrs. Tyler. So I'll just take one more final question, then I'll just like everybody to just give their final words, so we can get the guests to, or the audience to answer the question. And my question goes to Mr. Abdul Salami. Of course, you're a consultant, KPMG partner, and I know you over the course of your career, you've consulted for billions of firms, especially in the energy industry. So then we'll piggyback on the question that I asked Mrs. Ty. So we all know that the energy industry is pivotal to global transition to low carbon economy. So the question is, what barriers hinder this acceleration, and how can a sustainable and inclusive energy system be achieved?
How long do you have? I'll try to keep it really short. So the barriers are, we all know them, resources. Some people really cannot buy the inverters, the batteries that are required to power their homes and all. Policies, as the keynote speaker mentioned. We have policies for renewables, etc., and even for carbon. We have a carbon policy, etc., but they don't speak to each other. So until that starts happening, it is a barrier in its own way. We have established institutions that know that if there's that resistance to change, and so that in itself is also a barrier that we see. People who work in those environments, in those established institutions, also would think, I would lose a job if there's change. But the question we need to ask ourselves is, can we avoid this change? It's absolutely, it's inevitable. It will happen. If you travel outside the country today, to Europe or the US, there's so many cars outside that are Teslas, or cars that depend on electricity. On batteries as against fossil fuels. If you know the trajectory of Nigeria, we're going to get there. Somebody's going to bring a cheap version here, and everybody's going to get on it. So the question really is, our companies, our energy companies, should start thinking about it. And there is a transition. The short to the medium term transition is gas. So companies should start looking at gas. Look at Nigeria today. In Africa, we have the highest deposit of gas of about 206 trillion cubic meters, and the 9th in the entire world. If we can harness that alone, we've won half of the battle. We have lithium. Lithium is the main ingredient to create your rechargeable batteries. If we don't want it to go the way of gold and every other mineral resource we have in this country, we need to start writing our own narrative. And like I said, I can wax lyrical for the rest of the day on this matter, but the truth of the matter is that we have what it takes here. And we shouldn't wait till things happen to us. We shouldn't wait until the other countries, the other continents develop these things. We should sit back and say, we have this. How do we harness it? Create the scenarios, sit down, put the best brains in the room, and not just talk, but act. And not be scared to make mistakes, because even in those mistakes are solutions.
Thank you. Quite explosive. So what to think? And like you said, we are still on abundance. There's a lot of resource. I once heard that Nigeria has what you call resource cost. So sometimes you are so blessed that that's the cost of prospering. But good stuff. And because of time, so just one final note from everybody in terms of key takeaway, what we like to tell our guests in the light of what we said today. So I'll start from my near right.
So for me, the key takeaway is, in my view, right, in order to be able to survive in the VUCA world, is to do a risk assessment of your business. I was at a seminar 2 days ago and I heard the word, what is your MBA? And that put a whole new context about sustainability, where I'm going, what my business is about, what is the end game. My company will be here in 50 years' time, if that's where you're going. Of course, everybody wants their business to survive after them, but for how long? But for me, it's about taking an assessment. Everybody says risk assessment, but what is it really? It is sitting back and looking at every single factor that can affect your business. It could be internal, it could be external, it could be governmental, it could be environmental, and then plotting, how will this impact my business? Is it significant? Is it impactful? Is it negligible? How can I reduce it? How can I eliminate it? Or how can I mitigate it? What other things do I have that I can do? I'll give a quick one. In 2018, we did what we call business continuity plan. So we had a scenario. What if the whole of Victoria Island is flooded? How will we work? And then we started putting people in Ikeja, putting people in Oyo State. So those are the kind of things we need to look at. We take a scenario that seems to be the worst case scenario, and how will my company adapt to this? How will I survive? And then the second thing is people. You need people. You need intelligent people, knowledgeable people. You need a good support system, people you can run to. Your suppliers need to know your business, understand your business, how they influence you and impact on your business. Because when you have that collaboration, you thrive better in the cover. I'll just leave it for the
Thank you very much. Dr. Steve, the last words.
So, I say what I'm going to say because this is LBS. And you guys are here in search of growth, in search of being better today than you were yesterday. And so, whether it's VUCA or not VUCA, those who will survive and who will always be fine are those who have that growth mindset. So as you think about VUCA, as you think about whatever is happening in our environment, education might be expensive, but just realize that that is the only thing that will always keep you ahead of the game. So always learn to relearn and unlearn and keep learning. And those who have survived the previous crisis are those who have been ahead through learning and education. And so as you might think that having acquired this education, this is the last bus stop. But think about the fact that this is only the beginning, because we never really should stop learning. As you learn, you conquer and you win and you be successful. And as people think about VUCA as being crisis, you actually see it as something as opportunity, because you have already prepared yourself before the crisis came to you. And I hope you can take that away from this workshop.
Thank you, Dr. Steve. Could you share together for him? So VUCA is actually an opportunity, and we just did sort of a paradigm shift. Even though some person has a problem, is really an opportunity in disguise. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I guess in what I do, a lot of it has to do with policy standards, the way things evolve. And a lot of us are scared when things change, when we hear of changing standards, changing laws, climate change, etc., etc. I think one of the key things, and people who are successful are people who are not scared of the change, or hear about it even before it becomes reality and plan for it. So I think some of the things we need to start doing is saying, what's coming on the horizon? What hasn't happened? What's as I said, what are those things that would drive our business going forward? Climate change, renewables, etc., and then start planning for success, as against being scared that, oh, when it happens, we're all gone, like AI, etc., But instead, look at it and say, how can we make this work for us? That's the best.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for my distinguished guest. And in closing, I want to tell a story about someone that was sent to India, and I think it was a shoe company. And the guy got there and he said that, oh, that they are too poor, that they can't afford the shoes. And I think they sent somebody else. And the guy said, oh, that there are so many people and they are going to probably afford cheaper shoes. So sometimes what you think is VUCA, what you think is a challenge, is actually an opportunity in disguise. I think that resonates with all what they've said. Think, adaptability, be flexible, and I believe we business leaders, we executives, as we go back into our companies, we're able to just sort of make that change, and rather than being voiceless or not being vocal in VUCA, will not be productive and efficient. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we'll take questions. So I believe there'll be questions. So very quickly, if you have any question for our distinguished panel.
Yeah, that is it for asking questions because you get some participation marks.
Thank you very much, my distinguished panelists. I have really been inspired by the session. My question is to I forgot his name, the only man on the panel. I'm sorry. Okay, you said something that was quite interesting. You talked about this company that had to, fire all her accounting staff, although employed IT staff, but maintained the number of employees they had. Yeah. Okay, and I think for me, the question is now, being in this very VUCA world that we're in, how would, especially people who have established themselves in certain profession, how would they, up their game to survive in the future of work, knowing that the complexities, the uncertainties, the ambiguities we are faced with is beginning to make certain professions obsolete, as it were. So what must people do, especially those ones that their professions are beginning to look obsolete, or their professions are beginning to be taken away by the new things coming up in the place of work? What must people begin to do, or how do you even identify that your own profession is one of those going obsolete, and what must people do to keep themselves useful in the future of work? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry that I used that example as if I can't pass the out of job. No. So, I used to have, usually to find tax. I used to have somebody who were on retainership annually to find tax for us. And we're paying like $3,000 or something. But some guys from Philippines just wrote something to say, if you just go, they can find tax of any country in the world. So, if you say, they only just ask, we need to ask you, where are you from? You say Nigeria. Then we do tax filing for you in Nigeria with full compliance. So, but they still the same accountants. But they are filing taxes for people all over the world. And they are making a lot more money than when they were having only one stable J as on the retainership. So what they have done is to transform and adapt. And so the key word, my sister, is about adaptability. I think you made the point to say whatever you're doing, how can you be trying to be in touch with what is about to happen. You know what's about to happen because you know what is happening now. And she said, before you know it, maybe very soon we'll all be using electric car, for example. You know what is about to happen. I need to reflect on how you can fetch your profession and how you can adapt. And so the key word is adaptability. So you see that accountants actually being multi-skilled, being the same way, you know a bit of IT, you know about a bit of that. Because even me, you talk about cars and all that. I don't like mechanics. When you go to mechanic, you say, my job is just to be electrician. When you say, oh, I need to panel this, I say, not my job, another person. But the best garages are the ones where the guy can do it end to end. And that is what it is. That's the invitation for all of us to say, let's try not to lock ourselves into one place, but just continue. There is nothing we can't learn. So just to Get used to your environment, understand your environment, see the fact that human beings, the best gift you have is that of adaptability. And the lazy ones are the ones who say, let me stop learning. And once you stop learning, you can't adapt. But once you have that mindset, because you're all here because you are learning, that mindset of learning and growth will always equip you to just adopt and meander. Maybe in 5 years from now, you may not even be talking about the human resource manager. It might be something else. You may not be talking about accountant as you know them today. It might be something else. But we are still the same human beings who are creating that future. So the invitation is for you to be part of creating that future. And that next profession that's ahead of us.
Thank you very much. All right, I think you mentioned Master of Ceremonies job being obsolete. So we have 3 more exams and job is secured. So the lady who have taken the most notes in today's session, she will ask the second question.
Okay, can come on borrow notes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, panelists. I'm so enriched by what you've shared. My name is Onome Ajuri, and I'm going to ask this question to Dr. Steve. Okay, so I understand you're talking about people learning, which you just mentioned again in your last one. Learning and relearning. I can understand that from the business perspective, like you're learning about business, studying history, to know how trends have been and how people have handled issues in the past. But where does learning about your work come in? Because you mentioned that while you were speaking earlier, and you said, go back and learn about your work, and knowing that you understand your work gives you confidence and resilience. I want to understand that part.
Thank you. So that's actually the easiest thing. In organizations, we try to promote learning on the job, learning from those who have done it before. And really, you can't be, I hope I don't go too technical. So when you talk about competence, which is learning on the job, you can aggregate competence into, for example, awareness. I know about this concept. So you go to the next one we call knowledge level. I can do this, for example, as HR person. I can do interviewing with help. That's the knowledge level. But if you go to the next one, I can do interviewing without help. That is independence. You are so skilled, you can do it without help. And the next level, I can do it and help. You can never learn how to get to that level of doing it without help, without being taught, without hands-on, not just what you learn in school. So for you, therefore, is to say, how can you do that? Is to say, in organizations, are you getting yourself assigned to projects? Are you attaching yourself with people who are doing projects? In that way, you can learn. There is no shame in doing that. And therefore, that is actually why today, when we are recruiting people, we always say, hire for what they call attitude, train for skills. So if you get the people with the best attitude, willingness to learn, team play, trust another, pick them ahead of the people who don't even know how to do this, because they will learn it from the colleagues who are there. So when they don't understand the concept, of course, organizations will always train you to understand the concept, but to actually have your hands dirty, to say I can do this thing without help and help others, is about getting yourself in that role. So I don't know whether that responds to the question, but there's a bit around gratitude, there's a bit around being with people who know this job. Let them teach you, understand it, and be in another position to help others. And that's what we call coaching and mentoring. Because coaching is what gives you the ability to understand the job